The lights went out the moment we sat down. Not dramatic or anything, just a soft click, then darkness. The restaurant had been half empty anyway Tuesday night, late seating. My sister Rachel and I had finally managed to coordinate schedules after 3 months of trying. She'd driven in from Leeds. I'd taken the afternoon off work. The waiter appeared with a torch within seconds. "Generator should kick in shortly," he said. Very calm, professional. He set a tea light on our table and moved to the next one. Rachel laughed. Typical. First time we're both free in ages. I checked my phone. No signal. That felt wrong immediately. We were in the city center, not some rural dead zone. Rachel tried hers. Same thing. The emergency lighting came on after maybe 2 minutes. Dim green strips along the floor, the kind you see on planes. The other diners were chatting, a few filming on their phones. One couple near the window got up and left. I remember thinking they were overreacting. Then the waiter came back. Different energy this time. "I'm very sorry, but we're going to have to ask everyone to settle their bills and leave. The outage is affecting the whole block, and we can't process payments or prepare food safely." Rachel pulled out her purse. "Can we pay cash?" "Of course. Though we can only charge for drinks at this point." We hadn't ordered food yet, just wine. Rachel handed over a tenner and we stood to leave. The front door was propped open now, and I could see the street outside was completely dark. No street lights. No shop signs. Just car headlights cutting through. That's when the man in the corner booth stood up. I wouldn't have noticed him before. Middle-aged, suit, the kind of person you see in a place like this and forget immediately. But he walked straight past the exit and headed toward the back of the restaurant instead. Toward the staff area. The waiter called after him. "Sir?" "The exit's this way." The man didn't stop. Just pushed through the door marked staff only and disappeared. Rachel and I exchanged a look. The waiter muttered something under his breath and followed him through. Another staff member, a young woman, maybe early 20s, hurried after them both. We should have left then. I know that now. But Rachel said, "Do you think he's lost? It's dark back there." And I said, "Maybe he needed the toilet." We lingered near our table. A few other diners were still gathering their things. One older man was arguing about his bill, insisting he'd paid already. The remaining waiter was trying to manage him and watch the staff door at the same time. Then we heard the shout. Not a scream. A man's voice, sharp and angry. Then a crash, like something metal hitting the floor. The waiter at the till froze. So did everyone else. Rachel grabbed my arm. We should go. But the staff door swung open again and the young woman stumbled out. She looked terrified. "He's locked himself in the office. He says he's not leaving until we let him access the safe." The waiter near us pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police." "There's no signal," I said. "Landline's out too," the woman added. "Everything's down." The man who'd been arguing about his bill moved toward the staff door. "I'll talk to him." "Sir, please don't." But he was already through. Rachel tugged me toward the exit. "This isn't our problem. Let's just go." We were halfway to the door when the shouting started again. Louder this time. Then the sound of something splintering. The young woman was crying now. "He has a knife. I saw it when he pushed past." My stomach dropped. The waiter who'd gone to call the police was ushering the remaining diners out. "Everyone leave now. Go to the shop across the street and wait there." We didn't need to be told twice. Rachel and I were out the door and across the road in seconds. A small corner shop, also dark but with a few people inside holding phone torches. The owner was standing in the doorway, watching the restaurant. "What's happening?" he asked. "Someone's locked themselves in the back," Rachel said, "with a knife." More people had gathered now. A small crowd on the pavement, all staring at the restaurant's dark windows. Someone said the blackout stretched for miles. Someone else said it was a cyber attack. I kept watching the staff door, visible through the restaurant's front window. It stayed closed. Then, maybe 5 minutes later, it opened. The man in the suit walked out calmly, crossed the dining area, and exited onto the street. He turned left, and walked away into the darkness. No one stopped him. No one even moved. The waiter came out a moment later, supporting the older man who'd gone in to help. His face was bleeding. Rachel called out, "Are you okay? Should we—" "Stay back," the waiter said. His voice was shaking. "Just stay back." He said he'd come back if anyone followed him. The power came back on about 20 minutes later. Sudden and startling, like someone had flipped a switch. The streetlights buzzed to life. The shop signs blinked on, and my phone started vibrating with delayed messages. By then, 2 police cars had arrived. They took statements from everyone. The man in the suit had apparently worked there years ago. Got sacked for theft. The manager who'd been in the office when he forced the door said he'd been demanding access to employee records. Said he wanted proof they'd lied about him. He didn't take anything. Didn't hurt anyone badly. Just waited for the blackout. Walked in and used the chaos to settle something. Rachel and I went to a different restaurant afterward. Didn't talk much. She drove home that night instead of staying over like she'd planned. I still think about the timing. How he must have been sitting there, waiting, watching the lights. How he knew exactly where to go in the dark. How none of us saw it coming until it was too late to matter. We never rescheduled dinner. The highway was nearly empty when I saw him standing by the guardrail, waving his arms. I almost didn't stop. It was already dark, and I'd been driving for 3 hours straight from the city, trying to make it home for Thanksgiving dinner. Mom had texted twice asking when I'd arrive, but the guy looked genuinely stranded. His car was pulled onto the shoulder with the hood up, hazard lights blinking weakly in the cold. I slowed down and rolled my window halfway. "You need help?" "Battery's dead," he said, walking over quickly. He was maybe 40, wearing a windbreaker that looked too thin for November. "I've been out here almost an hour, no signal." He held up his phone like proof. I hesitated. "There's a service station about 15 miles up. I can call someone when I get there. Could you just give me a ride that far?" His smile was friendly enough. "I'd really appreciate it. It's freezing out here." I unlocked the passenger door. He got in fast, like he'd been waiting for the offer, and brought this smell with him: stale cigarettes and something sharp, like old sweat. He pulled the door shut and immediately clicked his seatbelt. "Thank you so much," he said. "You're a lifesaver. I'm Derek. Sarah." I merged back onto the highway, relieved to be moving again. The heater was on full blast, but the car still felt cold somehow. We drove in silence for maybe 2 minutes. Then he said, "You heading home for the holiday?" "Yeah, family thing." "Me too." He shifted in his seat, turning slightly toward me. "Haven't seen my sister in 5 years. She lives out past Millbrook." Millbrook was the opposite direction. I didn't say anything. The service station sign came into view, one of those big green highway markers reflecting in my headlights. 5 miles. I relaxed a little. "You know what's funny?" Derek said. "I wasn't actually going to stop there. I was heading to Crestview. That's where I was going. My parents' house was in Crestview." "Small world," I said, keeping my voice light. "Yeah." He was quiet for a moment. "Actually, if you're going that far anyway, could you drop me in town? Save me the cab fare from the station." Something in my chest tightened. "I'm kind of in a rush. The service station's fine. It's on your way though, right?" His tone hadn't changed, but there was something underneath it now. "I mean, you're going to Crestview." I didn't remember telling him that. The service station sign passed 3 miles. I glanced at him from the corner of my eye. He was staring straight ahead through the windshield, hands folded in his lap. Calm. Too calm. "How'd you know I was going to Crestview?" I tried to sound casual. "You said." "No, I didn't." He turned to look at me then, and his smile was different. Smaller. "Must have assumed. You got that Crestview High sticker on your bumper." I didn't have a sticker on my bumper. I'd scraped it off 2 years ago when I sold my old car. This was a lease. 2 miles to the service station. My hands were slick on the steering wheel. "Look, I'll just drop you at the station like we said, okay?" I kept my voice steady. "They'll help you out." "I'd really rather go to Crestview," Derek said. He wasn't smiling anymore. It's not a big ask, Sarah. You're going there anyway. The exit sign appeared. I flipped on my turn signal. Don't take this exit, he said. My heart was hammering now. I need gas anyway. No, you don't. Your tank's 3/4 full. I checked when I got in. I took the exit anyway, too fast, tires squealing slightly. He didn't try to stop me, just sat there, still buckled in, watching me with this flat expression. The service station was lit up like a stadium, bright and artificial against the dark. I pulled up right in front of the main doors where I could see the clerk inside. My hand was already on my seatbelt release. Thanks for the ride, I said. Good luck with everything. Derek didn't move. This is your stop, I said. He looked at the station, then back at me. I don't think so. Get out of my car. We're going to Crestview. He said it so calmly, like we were still having a normal conversation. You're going to drive us there. It's fine. I'm not going to hurt you or anything. I just need to get to Crestview. I grabbed my phone from the cup holder, hands shaking. He watched me unlock it. Who are you calling? He asked. The police. I wouldn't. Still calm. I know where your parents live, Sarah. The white Colonial on Maple. Your mom put up those new shutters last spring. They look nice. My finger hovered over the emergency call button. I'm not threatening you, Derek said. I'm just saying I know things. And if you call the police, this gets complicated for both of us. But if you just drive me where I need to go, we're fine. I get out, you go home. Everyone has a nice Thanksgiving. The clerk inside was stocking cigarettes, not looking our way. The station was empty except for one semi parked around the side. Why do you need to get to Crestview? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. That's not really your concern. Did you even have car trouble? He smiled then, just a little. Does it matter? I sat there with the engine running, phone in my hand, and tried to think. If I ran inside, would he follow? Would he leave? Would he actually know where my parents lived? Or was he bluffing? The white Colonial on Maple, there were probably a dozen houses matching that description. But he'd known about Crestview. He'd known I was going there before I said it. Clock's ticking, Derek said softly. Your mom's waiting on you. I put the car in drive. I don't know if that was the right choice. I still don't. But I pulled back onto the highway, hands numb, and kept driving north. He didn't say anything else for the next 20 minutes. Just sat there, watching the road like a normal passenger. When we got to the Crestview exit, he finally spoke. Take Main Street. Drop me at the library. I did. The library was closed, dark except for the security lights. I pulled into the parking lot and stopped. Derek unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Thanks for the ride, Sarah, he said. Then he leaned back in, and I flinched. But he just smiled. Tell your mom, I said. Happy Thanksgiving. He closed the door and walked across the parking lot toward the side street. I watched him until he disappeared around the corner. Then I locked every door and drove straight to my parents' house. I didn't tell them what happened. I said traffic was bad. We had dinner. I stayed the whole weekend. But I kept checking the windows. I still don't know who he was or what he wanted in Crestview. I filed a police report when I got back to the city. They said without a name or proof of a crime, there wasn't much they could do. They told me I shouldn't have picked him up in the first place. I know that. But the thing that bothers me most, the thing I can't stop thinking about, is that he never told me his name was Derek. I just wrote that earlier because I needed to call him something. He never actually told me his name at all. The cabin weekend was supposed to be easy. 3 days, no service. Just me and Sarah trying to reset after the worst year either of us had in a while. We'd rented this place 2 hours north, deep enough that the GPS lost signal about 40 minutes before we arrived. We got there Friday afternoon, unloaded, settled in. The place was fine. Older than the photos suggested, but clean. We spent Saturday hiking, made dinner, sat by the fire. Normal stuff. Sunday morning, we realized we'd burned through way more firewood than expected. It got cold at night, and the propane tank for the stove was lower than we thought. Sarah checked the car. We'd driven up on fumes, basically. I'm not sure why neither of us filled up before leaving the city. Stupid oversight. There was a gas station about 12 miles back, the only one we'd seen on the way in. Hand-painted sign, 2 pumps, attached to what looked like someone's house. We figured we'd drive down, fill up, grab some snacks, come back for one more night. We left around 4. The sky was already dimming early November. Short days. The road was empty. No other cars. No houses. Just trees and the occasional dirt turnoff. We pulled into the station just after 4:30. Still light, but barely. The pumps were old. The kind where you pay inside first. The building was small, wood-paneled, with a single window and a screen door. A closed sign hung crooked on the inside, but the lights were on. I could see someone moving around. I got out, walked up, pulled the door open. A bell rang. The guy behind the counter looked up, mid-50s, maybe older, wearing a flannel shirt and a canvas jacket even though it was warm inside. He didn't say anything, just stared. "Hey," I said. "Can I get 20 on pump 1? He didn't move, just kept looking at me. "We're staying up the road," I added, like that mattered. "At the cabin off Route 47. That got a reaction. His jaw tightened. He shook his head once. "Slow. Not selling fuel," he said. "What?" "Not after dark." I glanced outside. It wasn't dark yet. The sun was low, sure, but there was still light. "It's not even 5, I said. "Close enough," he said. "Come back tomorrow." I didn't know what to say. Sarah was still in the car. I could see her through the window, checking her phone even though there was no signal. "We're almost empty," I said. "We won't make it back to town." He crossed his arms. "Then you should have come earlier." I felt my face getting hot. "This is the only station for miles. You can't just refuse to sell gas." "I can," he said. "And I am." I stood there, trying to figure out if this was some kind of joke. It wasn't. His face was stone. "Why?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. He looked past me, out the window, at the road, then back at me. "People don't stay on the road after dark around here," he said. "Not if they're smart." "What does that mean?" He shrugged. "Means what it means. Come back in the morning. I open at 6. I wanted to argue, but something in his tone stopped me. It wasn't hostility. It was something else. Warning, maybe, or fear. I went back to the car. Sarah looked up. "What happened?" "He won't sell us gas," I said. "What? Why?" He said not after dark, which it isn't, by the way. She stared at me. "That's insane." "I know." We sat there for a minute. I checked the gauge. We had maybe a quarter tank, enough to get back to the cabin, probably not enough to reach the next town. "What do we do?" Sarah asked. I didn't know. We could try to make it to the next station, but I wasn't even sure where that was. We could go back to the cabin and come back in the morning, but that meant another night with no heat if the propane ran out. "Let's just go back," I said finally. "We'll come back at 6. We drove back in silence. The road felt longer, darker. I kept checking the rear view, though I'm not sure what I expected to see. We got back to the cabin just as the last light disappeared. I locked the doors, something I hadn't done the night before. Sarah made pasta on what was left of the propane. We didn't talk much. Around 9, we heard something outside. Not loud, just movement. Footsteps, maybe, or something brushing against the side of the cabin. Sarah looked at me. I turned off the lights. We sat there in the dark, listening. It circled the cabin, slow, deliberate, stopped at the windows. I could hear breathing, low and wet. Then it moved on, kept going. Eventually, it faded. We didn't sleep much. I kept the car keys in my hand all night. We left at dawn, drove straight to the gas station. The guy was there, unlocking the pumps. He saw us, nodded once, like he'd expected it. I filled the tank, paid inside. He didn't say anything, and neither did I. We drove back to the city. I don't know what that was. I don't know if the guy knew, or if he'd just heard stories. I don't know if we imagined it, though Sarah heard it too. We didn't go back. The cabin's still booked under my name for another weekend next month, but I'm not going. I don't care about the deposit. Maybe he was just a paranoid old man. Maybe we overreacted, but I keep thinking about the way he looked at me. Not angry, scared, and I keep thinking about what he said. People don't stay on the road after dark. Not if they're smart. I still don't know what that means. I'm not sure I want to. The pump clicked off at $23.47. I was topping off the tank before heading back to the cabin when I noticed the attendant watching me through the station window. Not casually, like really watching, staring. My girlfriend Sarah was still inside, grabbing snacks. We'd driven up Friday after work for a long weekend, one of those last-minute rental deals. The cabin was about 40 minutes deeper into the hills. No cell service, which was kind of the point. Get away from everything. I walked in to pay, and the guy behind the counter, maybe 60, flannel shirt, name tag, said Earl. He looked at me, then at Sarah by the chip aisle, then back at me. "You folks heading to one of the rentals?" he asked. "Yeah, up past Miller's Fork." He nodded slowly. "You'll want to fill up now if you're planning to come back through after dark." I laughed a little. "We just did. That's what I'm paying for." "No," he said. "I mean top it all the way off. Because we don't sell fuel after sunset. Not to anyone going that direction." Sarah came over with an armful of junk food. "Don't sell fuel? What kind of gas station?" "Store policy," Earl said. His face didn't move. "Been that way since March." I paid cash and we left. Sarah thought it was weird, small-town stuff. Maybe they had trouble with people driving off without paying at night. I didn't think much of it either. The cabin was fine. A little musty, decent Wi-Fi for the first hour until it cut out completely. We made dinner, played cards, went to bed early because there wasn't much else to do. Saturday we hiked, came back sore and hungry. I realized we'd forgotten half the groceries in the car overnight, and some of it had gone bad in the heat. We decided to drive back to that gas station, only store for miles, and grab what we needed. We got there around 7:30 p.m. Still light out, but the sun was low. I pulled up to the pump. Earl came out immediately. Not from inside, from around the side of the building, like he'd been waiting. "You need to leave," he said. I had my card out. "We just need gas and some. Sun sets in 40 minutes. You need to be gone before then. Back toward the highway or to your cabin. Doesn't matter. But not here." Sarah got out of the car. "What is your problem? We're paying customers." Earl looked at her, then past her, toward the tree line across the road. "I'm not selling you fuel after dark. You can buy what you need inside right now, but then you leave. If you're low on gas, go now and come back tomorrow morning." "We're not low," I said. "We just want." "Then go." He walked back around the building. Didn't go inside. Just disappeared around the corner. We stood there for a minute. Sarah was pissed, wanted to report him or leave a bad review or something. I just wanted to get food and go. We went inside. Different person at the counter, younger guy, maybe Earl's son. He rang us up without a word. When I asked about the fuel policy, he said, "We're not supposed to talk about it," and handed me the receipt. We left. I checked the time, 7:52 p.m. Sunset was at 8:14 according to my phone. On the drive back, Sarah kept going on about how bizarre it was, how we should find another station tomorrow. I agreed, but honestly, I was starting to feel uneasy. Not because of Earl, he was just a weird old guy, but because of how certain he'd been, the way he'd looked at the tree line. We got back to the cabin around 8:30, full dark by then. I made sure all the doors were locked. Sarah asked why, and I said, I didn't know, just felt like it. Around 10 p.m., we heard a car, slow, coming up the gravel road toward the cabin. It stopped maybe 100 yards away. Engine running. Headlights off. I went to the window. Couldn't see much, just a dark shape, boxy, maybe a truck or SUV. It sat there for a long time, maybe 10 minutes. Then it reversed, turned around, and left. Sarah said it was probably someone lost. I wanted to believe that. It came back at 11:45. Same thing. Parked just out of sight. Engine running. No lights. This time I grabbed my phone to take a picture, but the screen wouldn't turn on. Dead, even though I'd charged it earlier. Sarah's was dead too. The car left again after about 15 minutes. We didn't sleep much. Every sound felt amplified. Around 2 a.m., I thought I heard footsteps on the gravel near the side of the cabin. But when I looked out, there was nothing. Just trees and darkness. The car came back one more time, around 4 a.m. By then, we were both sitting in the living room with the lights off, just listening. It stayed longer this time, maybe half an hour. Then it left and didn't come back. When the sun came up, we packed everything and drove straight out. Didn't stop at that gas station. Didn't stop anywhere until we hit the highway. I looked it up later. There were 3 missing person cases in that area between March and July. All of them were people staying in rental cabins. All of them were last seen at that gas station, refueling after dark. The station's been investigated twice, but nothing ever stuck. Earl's story is always the same, he warns people. They don't listen, and he never sees them again. We didn't go back for our deposit. I'm not sure what would have happened if we'd ignored him and stayed at the pumps after sunset. Maybe nothing. Maybe we'd have been fine. But I think about that car, sitting there in the dark, with its engine running, and I'm glad we didn't find out. The first text came through during the appetizers. I was hosting a dinner party, nothing fancy, just 6 people from work and a few neighbors. My flat's small, but I'd made it work. Borrowed chairs from next door. Cooked way too much pasta. Mark was telling some story about his commute when my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I glanced at it. Unknown number. We need to talk. Tonight. I didn't recognize it. Figured it was spam or a wrong number. Deleted it and went back to topping up wine glasses. 10 minutes later, another one. Don't ignore this. You know what you did. I felt my stomach drop a bit. Still unknown. I looked around the table. Everyone was laughing. Sarah was showing photos from her holiday. I typed back, wrong number, sorry. Hit send. Put the phone face down. Then it buzzed again immediately. Wrong number? Really? 47 Ashford Gardens, flat 3. Try again. That's my address. I stood up too quickly. Nearly knocked my chair over. Mark asked if I was all right, and I said something about checking the oven, even though nothing was in there. I went into the kitchen and stared at my phone. My hands were shaking. Another text. Nice group you've got there. Mark's tie is awful. I looked at the window. Blinds were open. I could see my reflection in the warm glow of the dining table behind me. But outside, just darkness. We're on the 3rd floor. There's a car park across the street. A few street lights. Nothing else. I walked over and yanked the blinds shut. Everything okay? Sarah called from the table. Yeah, fine, I said. My voice sounded wrong. I checked the door. Locked. Chain on. I'd locked it when the last guest arrived. I was sure. Another buzz. You're not going to tell them, are you? That would ruin the evening. I wanted to call the police, but what would I even say? Someone's texting me. They're watching my flat. It sounded paranoid, and I didn't want to scare everyone. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone I used to know, playing a sick joke. I couldn't think of anyone who'd do this, but my mind was racing. I went back to the table, sat down, tried to smile. Mark was still talking. I wasn't listening. I kept my phone in my lap, screen facing up. Another text. You're doing well. Almost convincing. I looked around the table. Everyone was eating, drinking, normal. No one was on their phone. No one looked at me strangely. I checked the windows again. All the blinds were shut now. I'd closed them all. Actually, I'm not feeling great. I said. I think I need to lie down for a minute. Sorry. Do you want us to go? Sarah asked. She looked concerned. No, just give me 5 minutes. Help yourselves to more wine. I went into my bedroom and shut the door, hands still shaking. I called the number. It rang once, then disconnected. I tried again. Same thing. I blocked it. Then a text came from a different number. That's rude. I sat on the edge of my bed. I could hear laughter from the other room, the clink of glasses, everything normal. But someone was out there. Someone who could see in, who knew where I lived, who had at least 2 phone numbers. I thought about what they'd said. You know what you did? I didn't. I couldn't think of anything. I'm an admin assistant. I go to work. I come home. I don't have enemies. I don't owe anyone money. I haven't hurt anyone. Another text. Clock's ticking. You've got until they leave. I opened my bedroom door. Mark was standing right there, about to knock. I nearly screamed. Sorry, he said, stepping back. We're worried about you. You look really pale. I'm fine, I said. Actually, I think I need everyone to go. I'm sorry. I think I've got food poisoning or something. He frowned. You haven't eaten anything. I tasted it while cooking. Please, I need to lie down. It took 10 minutes to get everyone out. They were all concerned, offering to stay and help clean up. I said no, I'd be fine. I just needed rest. I practically pushed them out the door. Locked it, chain, deadbolt. Then I stood in the hallway and waited. Nothing. I checked my phone. No new texts. I went to the window, lifted the blind slightly, looked out. The car park was empty except for the usual cars. No one standing there, no one watching. I waited an hour. Nothing. I tried calling the second number, disconnected immediately. I checked my call log, my emails, my social media messages. Nothing. No one I knew. No explanation. I didn't sleep that night. I kept the lights on, checked the door every 20 minutes, kept my phone in my hand. By morning, I'd convinced myself it was some kind of prank. A neighbor, maybe. Someone who saw the dinner party and decided to mess with me. But I don't think that anymore. Because 2 days later, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a photo printed, not digital. It was taken through my dining room window. You can see all of us at the table. Mark's tie. Sarah's holiday photos on her phone screen. Me in the kitchen, staring at my phone. There's a timestamp in the corner, the exact time of the dinner. I filed a police report, gave them the numbers, the texts, the photo. They said they'd look into it, but there wasn't much they could do. Harassment, maybe, but no direct threat. They suggested I get better curtains. I moved out 3 weeks later. Staying with a friend now, looking for a new place. I don't host dinners anymore. I don't even like people knowing where I live. And I still don't know what I supposedly did, or who was watching, or why they stopped. But sometimes I still get texts from unknown numbers. Just one word. Soon.